All right, so here we've got 12/21/2012, which is obviously December 21st, 2012. Once again, this is the Mayan calendar, the end of it, and once again we're talking about when the satellites are launching. Now, above this is a barcode, and this barcode, when scanned, actually equals 666. For those of you who know about this from the Christian Bible, in Revelations, 666 is the mark of the beast, and is actually related somewhat to those Borromean rings over there. There is somewhere around here a reference to some Bible verses that are of interest to that. I'll wait on that. If I can't find the Bible verses, I'll just discuss what it means, and we'll just go on from here. So this right here is a nice little code, which is not particularly difficult to decipher if you look at it for a little while. I mean, it might be a little bit difficult to decipher if it's your first time looking at it, but it's not too terrible once you've figured it out. Anyways, you have to start at the end with the T, and then you go to the H, and then the E, and then the Y, and you just kind of build your way up, and it builds words as you go all the way across. But you have to do each line one at a time, and you'll figure out the words. So what this entire thing says, I can't quite get the entire thing on screen. It's kind of sort of there. It says, "They drained my soul and made it theirs. I drained my body to show you where I saw it." So this message is probably from the subject that was before Desmond here. Desmond is subject 17, and this is probably from subject 16 here, and indicates that they similarly drained his soul or memories with that animus, which is in front of us. Because they specifically wanted to know what was in his memories so that they could get to pieces of Eden or whatever it was that they were after. Now, the second half lets us know that he drained his body to write these messages. In other words, he wrote all of them in blood, and that was his only ink. And he's trying to find or show us what he found with the animus over there by putting down all of these interesting and cryptic messages. Now, there is another similar message on the other side here, which actually uses the same deciphering means. And we'll just go over here to read that. Totally on top of it. Alright, I'll get a little bit closer. Alright, so this one, once again, is still the same thing where you read it one line at a time, going straight up, once again. And this one is artifacts sent to the skies to control all nations, to make us obey a hidden crusade. Do not help them. Now, this is what I've been talking about, where the artifacts are being launched as satellites to control the minds of the people below. So I've pretty much been explaining what this message is as we've been talking about all of these, but I kind of needed to explain some of the other things that are around here. It's kind of important stuff. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue on over this way just a bit, because there is one more thing. If we look here, so what we've got is what looks like a piece of Eden, and then possibly meant to be eyes under it. I'm guessing it's supposed to be the eyes of people that the piece of Eden is controlling, and this triangle around it is the signal that's coming down. This is not an actual symbol from anything else. This is more game-wise, so it is all about the game here rather than anything outside of it, but it does kind of depict how people are being controlled. Anyway, we've got another thing up here. I don't think there's anything against this door over here. Just double check it. Nope. Okay. So this right here, which is totally upside down, I should be looking at it from the animus side. This is called the Eye of Providence. This is indicating God's all-seeing eye from the Christian religion, being able to see over everything, being able to participate in everyone's life all at once, that kind of thing. This is probably talking about how the pieces of Eden are basically overseeing the world, or perhaps the Templars are overseeing the world and controlling every single person in the world through knowing what everyone is doing, because no one has a mind of their own any longer. So interesting little symbol there. Let's see, what other symbols do we have left? I think I may have actually gone over every single symbol in here. So at this point I will explain the final piece of the Borromean rings, as well as the 666 thing. I am going to quickly look over and see if I can find what I'm looking for. In fact, we'll stop here for just a second, and I'm going to try and see if I can find what I'm looking for, and we'll be right back. Well, honestly, I cannot recall where I saw it or if I truly did see it, but at some point I saw something that I thought was a reference to the 13th chapter of Revelations, which would tie in nicely with this 666 here, as well as the Borromean rings over here. So I'm going to talk about the 13th chapter of Revelations anyway, especially considering there is the 13th Baktun here, which would probably tie in just well enough as well. So one way or another, it does tie in. But anyway, the 13th chapter of Revelations talks about three different beings. The first being the dragon, or Satan, as most people would refer to him. The dragon creating a beast with many different pieces or parts, as well as, I believe, 12 heads, if I recall correctly. And then a final beast that rises out of the ground and works with all the authority of the first beast, who is worshipped by man and everything, and creates an image of the first beast that can both talk to man and can also kill anyone that refuses to worship the beast. Now, it also talks about this specific mark of the beast right here, which basically says that the mark is 666, and also says that anyone who does not have the mark on their right hand or on their forehead will be unable to buy or sell anything. So basically, you can't make a living if you are not worshiping this beast. Now, if we're going to look at the Borromean rings and this at the same time, we can kind of move into three different things to fill these different roles. So first we have the dragon, which would be the creators of the pieces of Eden. All the parts, the 12 heads, all that kind of stuff is the pieces of Eden, perhaps also indicating other artifacts and so forth. And then after that, the final piece, or the final beast, is the Templars, who are creating an image or an illusion to control people through the pieces of Eden, and then will be killing anyone who refuses to submit to the mind control, much like Altair did with Al-Mualim. So the chapter 13 from Revelations in the Christian Bible ties in very heavily with these two symbols here, which are pretty close to each other. And then on top of that, we've also got what could be considered a satanic symbol over there, as well as the all-seeing eye of God just on the other side, which is basically indicating the creators, and then also looking over everything that's happening at the same time. Now, on top of that, the all-seeing eye on the other side is could literally be the people who are looking over Desmond or any of the other subjects while they're in the Animus. They see what you're seeing. So it's a very interesting and unique thing that you can really combine in a lot of different ways, and it's honestly difficult to know if I'm correct here, but these are the conclusions that I have come to from playing this game and researching into this game. So hopefully this has given you some insight into the intricacies and subtleties of what they put into this game. And we'll finish off by reading a couple of emails here. These are the only new emails. I went to check all the computers just to make sure, but these are the only new emails on Vidic's computer here, and we'll finish off with these. So we have some Abstergo News Wire Services daily headlines. Talks continue regarding the aftermath of an L11 outbreak. Nearly 6 years later, little progress has been made in dealing with the repercussions of what history books are now referring to as the Second Plague. With nearly 96% of its population decimated over a 3-month period, the continent of Africa is now virtually uninhabited. Plans to divide up the continent have met with strong resistance and claims of neocolonialism. One protester had this to say: "Whether we are 100 or 100 million, this is still our home, and no one has the right to take it from us." Now, if we're looking back at the globe that's spinning around, there is actually a piece of Eden located in Africa, and it's quite possible that to collect this piece of Eden, they literally killed everyone in Africa and went to try and take it over using the other pieces of Eden by controlling people to go in there. And it's also perhaps possible that everyone in Africa possessed some kind of gene that was preventing them from being controlled, and why they were wiped out by this second plague. So some very interesting stuff there. And finally, we have this deleted item here from Lucy Stillman about subject number 16, who is likely who wrote all of these bloody messages for us. Warren, I finished my report on subject 16. You should take a look when you have some time, as I believe it validates my belief that we need to be treating them with greater care. Failure to do so will only result in further breakdowns. I'll summarize things for you now, since I realize you're probably pretty busy. Prolonged exposure to the Animus caused a bleeding effect within Subject 16's genetic structure. The result was a blending of genetic and real-time memory. He became unable to distinguish his own life from those of his ancestors, as witnessed with the incident in his room. So as we can see, Desmond here is getting the bleeding effect happening because he is capable of using the eagle vision to see all of these blood stains that have been cleaned off in the past. Kind of like using a blacklight, more or less. So he's got blacklight vision. Anyways, I believe this effect is very similar to certain forms of multiple personality and delusional disorders. People who claim to be experiencing past lives or the presence of other minds within their own are quite possibly experiencing a naturally occurring version of this bleeding effect, though the specific symptoms may vary from subject to subject. The end result is the same. They lose their minds. And that's what I was talking about with Desmond kind of being in trouble here, is the fact that he's been in the Animus so long and starting to get this bleeding effect. It's quite possible that he's just going to lose his mind. That's that whole going to the abyss and never coming back that he was explaining. He was losing his mind at that point, and he was trying to, Subject 16 was trying to write out everything that he had seen so he could give it to Altair well, Desmond, to basically teach him about what's happening as much as he possibly could. What's interesting about this is that means that he knew that Desmond would at some point have eagle vision and be able to see this stuff. Or he was just crazy and trying to share it with whoever would listen. Anyways, this is what I believe happened to Subject 16. One of his ancestors seems to have been involved in an important event in the ancient Far East. This is where we're talking about Jiajing, I cannot pronounce that for the life of me, and possibly the Temple of the Sun. Anyways, the wall writings he left us defy any conventional explanation. I don't know about that. I feel like I explained them okay, though I'm not ready to dismiss them just yet. Per your request, I've asked for a linguist and historian to research them further, in case there's some significance. Oh, I think there's a lot of significance. I'll let you know if they come back to us with anything. I'll get you a full copy of the report so that you can review my findings when you have the time. I know this is not that important to you, Warren, but it would mean a lot to me if you'd just take a look and think about it. We don't need to push them so hard. We don't need to kill them. From a purely practical perspective, there's no point in destroying the subjects anyway. Once they're dead, their knowledge is lost to us forever, and we both know how dangerous that can be. Thanks for your time, Lucy. Alright, so that is the end of everything we can possibly find in here. I hope you've all enjoyed this Let's Play. I am not going back for the Flags and Templars. I see no reason to do it. It does not open anything else in particular. It's just an achievement, so you guys can do that on your own time. I'm sure you can find maps with flags and Templars on it, and I just don't find it useful. But I hope you've enjoyed this explanation of all this stuff, and I hope it gives you some interesting clarity to what this stuff might mean. Also, I find it kind of interesting that there is nothing over here, and there's tons of stuff over there. And there's stuff in the room. There's nothing in that room, likely because he never got access. But it's almost as if Subject 16 was repelled from where Warren Vidic was and did not want to write anything. As if perhaps Subject 16 knew that Lucy was on his side and was trying to write the messages for her. Or perhaps just for the next subject, since it's also in that room. Anyway, I'll see y'all later. Bye for now.